happening, Bitcoin accumulation country? It's Coin Icarus, and this is the Fun with Bitcoin podcast. We are in season 3, and this is episode 28. Yeah, I like to mix it up every once in a while, right? So on Twitter, I am Coin Icarus, but my real name is Phil. Anyways, I've got a really great episode lined up today. I sat down with Lixin from CoboVault, and he talks to us about his rabbit hole story, but he also explains to us a lot about the CoboVault hardware wallet, which I think is a really nice offering, and I look forward to see what other products is coming out from Cobo. Anyways, before we get into the CoboVault, we are first going to take a look at dollar cost averaging and Swan Bitcoin. For anybody who is interested in dollar cost averaging and who wants to be purchasing Bitcoin but doesn't want to be spending their time constantly watching the charts and listening to traders that they really have no idea whether these people are credible or not, and you kind of just want to put this in a passive sleep mode where you're simply just accumulating and hodling, being able to transfer that Bitcoin out to your own private address. So if you're interested in doing that and that falls in your wheelhouse, then you are looking for Swan Bitcoin. With Swan Bitcoin, the three main takeaways are we can do automatic withdrawal from a bank account, automatic purchases of BTC. You can time them based on your when you receive your check. You can do it let's say once you can do it once a month, or you can do it per pay period as well. There's lots of options for you to be able to customize how you purchase. And you could automatically withdraw to your chosen address. So if you're interested in a Bitcoin-only platform that is doing the great work of helping onboard people, then you definitely want to check out Swan Bitcoin. I'm going to have the link to their website in the show notes. Without further ado, here's my discussion with Lixin from CoboVault. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me on the Fun with Bitcoin podcast. I'm your host, Phil, or on Twitter, Coin Icarus. And joining me today is a gentleman that is putting together a really nice hardware wallet. And we started chatting on, I think it was Telegram. And anyways, he sent me out one of these hardware wallets to test out. I really liked the UX. I really liked the idea. And I had to ask him to come on to the Fun with Bitcoin podcast and, give his rabbit hole story and talk about the wallet. And I am talking about the CoboVault, and I am talking about Lixin. Lixin, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast.
Thank you for having me, Phil. Thank you so much.
Cool. So look, we're going to dive right into it. I definitely want to know, is it okay? Are you allowed to say your location where you are?
Yeah, I'm in Shanghai. Now. It's
very cool.
It's 8 a.m. here.
Nice. Okay. So I've never spoken to anybody from Shanghai. So this is my first time. So I definitely want to know your rabbit hole story. I mean, why, how and why did you get into Bitcoin?
Okay. Actually, the first time I knew Bitcoin was back in 2009, around Christmas, because that was I was in my college and that was my job hunting season. So at that time, I spent my whole day on the internet surfing for jobs and also surfing for new stuff to look at. And at that time, I was using Google Reader. You must know that Google Reader. Yeah, and around the Christmas of 2009, my Google Reader was flooded by Bitcoin topics. So that's the first time I knew Bitcoin. I dived into a little bit. I was not in the rabbit hole at that time, but I dived into a little bit. And I thought that it's a really, really cool idea, but I'm not sure that the consensus can be reached. That was the main concern for me at that time. So I didn't do anything for that. I just come across Bitcoin at that time. And then the time goes to 2013. One of my friends reminded me again for the Bitcoin, and I surprisingly found that the consensus seems to be reached, and a lot of people are buying Bitcoin, this kind of stuff, and we have MTGOX, and that was my first time to buy my first Bitcoin on MTGOX at that time.
Oh wow!
So 2013, and but my career didn't encounter with Bitcoin after that. I was working in a hardware company we were making drones, and I was the second employee there. And we do global marketing. So we make the drone, and we mainly do sales in Western countries. And also for that company, we successfully get into Apple Store, so which is a big success for the company. And also after the company was invested by Snapchat, I left the company and came back to Shanghai. And at the same time, one of the founders of F2 Pool, which is the biggest Bitcoin mining pool currently in the world, one of the founders of F2 Pool, his name is Discussfish, and another guy is a early employee of Facebook. So these two guys founded Cobo in China. So they are, founded Cobo in China.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was it that they founded? I misunderstood.
Discussfish is one of the co-founders of F2 Pool.
Oh, F2 Pool. Okay.
F2 Pool, which is the biggest Bitcoin mining pool currently in the world. And the other guy was a early employee of Facebook. So these two guys founded the company Cobo here in China. So currently Cobo is like a full stack wallet company. They do software wallet, which is custodial wallet mainly for Asia people, and also enterprise wallet, just like BitGo. And also they incubated me in Shanghai to do the hardware wallet product line. So the hardware is under me. So I'm working on the hardware with them. Because at that time I have the experience of Bitcoin, I have experience of hardware design, hardware production, and also I have the experience of global marketing for a hardware. So that's why we came together and we set up a subordinate company here in Shanghai to make the hardware wallet. And that's mainly my journey of getting to Bitcoin and getting to hardware wallet.
Okay, that's really cool. So I didn't realize that. Yeah, I mean those are I've worked with some people from Facebook, and it's definitely I think they have a really interesting culture as a company. Seriously,
yes.
I know that people make fun of the the product and stuff like that. Facebook's for grandparents and whatnot, but I can say that I found them to be a really interesting company because I do indirectly work with them. I want to go back to something that you said though about reaching consensus. So this is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 2009 you looked at it. It's like there wasn't maybe enough information to decide that there was consensus, but then in 2013 you're like, okay, enough people have like reached that point.
Yes.
So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
because
that.
at that time you can see in 2009 because a lot of people are also talking about the risk of Bitcoin. All of them are saying that the 51% attack is going to happen if this thing becomes a bigger thing. So I think that's a huge risk at that time for this kind of new baby. Yeah. So, but in 2013, it's very clear that you can buy Bitcoin on MTGOX, and there's a price there. There's a consensus. The price is consensus. When it reached to a aligned price, I see, it's a consensus, and every people can see that price and buy with that price and sell with that price. I see that is a consensus.
I love it. I do. I think that's very interesting. I've never, I mean, obviously everybody talks about consensus in Bitcoin, but I just find that the way that you explained it through your journey is something interesting. I didn't even, because I came much later, I didn't think of that. So, okay, so you work for Cobo and they got you to do the hardware wallet. So, I mean, let's dive right into it, right? The CoboVault, right? So, okay. So, did you get to choose? Because so right now there's like other types of hardware wallets like Trezor where you have a
yes
where you go to a website or something like that. Like, I guess why did you choose the route of air gapped versus not air gapped? I mean, is it really just for security or?
Okay, actually. From generally speaking, make a hardware wallet is really costly. it's not like software, because for hardware you need to invest a lot. I mean, for design of it and to make demos of it, make sampling for the product and also manufacturing. So when we starting the ideation or maybe the ideation phase for a product, we were very cautious. So it's not like software, because software you can iterate very fast. You can adding and removing features very fast. But for hardware, it's totally different. So maybe I can start the story back from when we designed the first generation, which is CoboVault Ultimate. Yeah, because I just shared that one of the founders of Cobo is also one of the co-founder of the F2 pool. So we were very well connected in China with the miners here in China. So at that time, I interviewed a lot of miners, and I asked them. Most of them are using Trezor and Ledger. At that time, they don't know too much about Coldcard, but they use Trezor and Ledger. They're quite famous here in China. So I interviewed them. I asked them questions. What do you feel about the product? When do you feel it's security? When do you feel it's not security? Actually, I received like 95% of the people, they told me that when I don't use Trezor or Ledger, I feel really secure because it's totally offline. But when I plug the Ledger or the Trezor into my laptop, that's the most frightening part for me, because I always worry my laptop has some malicious code or has some malicious software there, and what if it's like injected something into my Ledger and Trezor? So they feel really unsafe at the time when they plug the product into their laptop. So at that time, I came up with the idea that we should make a product more air-gapped. Here, more air-gapped means that one is communicating with your companion app, which is just like Ledger Live. When you're making it communicating with the companion app, you should make it not like the USB or Bluetooth or this kind of thing, or even Wi-Fi. Don't do this. So we come up with the first idea of using it air-gapped with the QR code. So that's the first big decision for the first generation of CoboVault. And our second generation also took the legacy of this. The second big decision we made is for the secure element. So I think I won't dive into that too much, because you guys have seen that if a hardware wallet has no secure element, it's not very easy, but it's possible to extract the private keys from the product. So secure element is the second thing. The third thing, really important, and maybe you guys don't understand, is that we make the product waterproof and drop resistant, and also it's full aluminum body and comes with an aluminum protective case. Why we did this is that the miners here in China, they all work in the most isolated places in China for the cheapest electricity. So they work in those environments so that there are a lot of rains, or they need it's very rough environment. So they need these kind of features to protect their hardware wallet. They always got their Ledger or Trezor get into water or get into wet environment to get unfunctional, so that we make the product waterproof and drop resistant. That's the third big decision. And also we collect some insights from the miners that in the early days I asked them a very interesting question, which is when you don't have Trezor and Ledger, how do you protect your Bitcoin? They gave me a really interesting story, is that most of them used a specific modular mobile phone made by LG. So why they use that? I asked them. It's very interesting, because they said that mobile phone has a modular battery, which means you can take out the battery. So because most of them store their biggest chunk of Bitcoin in a LG mobile phone, and then put that in a deposit box or in a safe box somewhere, and they will never touch it for like every 6 or even 12 months. So during this time, a lithium battery is the biggest or is the weakest part of the mobile phone. So it always get unfunctional and maybe may destroy the mobile phone. So they chose a modular phone to store it separately for the battery. And also they bought a bunch of battery to put aside to make sure that when they want to use that mobile phone, they can plug in a functional battery and use that. So that's also one of the insights we got from the miners. So we designed the detachable battery for the first generation. And also we because some of the guys in our team are from traditional banking industry. In the traditional banking industry, they have like most Asian ATM machines, or they have credit card terminals. And also in those products, they all have a feature which is a self-destruct mechanism. So if you stole a credit card terminal from a merchant or somewhere, if the hacker wants to forcibly open the device will automatically destroy all the sensitive information in the device. So that's also one insight we got from a traditional banking industry. We also added that feature into our first generation. So we took almost all these legacies into our second generation. But one problem is that our first generation was too expensive. It's around $500. So it's a good price point for the miners, but it's not a good price point for the average hodlers. Actually, during Bitcoin 2019, I went to San Francisco and I talked to a lot of average hodlers there. I asked them, the biggest insight I got from them was that they don't care too much about the waterproof feature, because they see that their home got flooded is a really, really low possibility thing.
Yeah.
So but they told me that if their home got flooded, they just spend another $100 and buy another hardware wallet. That's their solution. So, and that's why I came back to China, and our team starting design our second generation, which is more average hodler focused. So we removed the durability feature, which is waterproof and drop resistant, and we turned the body from aluminum into engineering plastic, so to make the price cheaper. Mm-hmm. And then we got here. But also for the second generation, we added some new stuff into that. For example, we not only support rechargeable lithium battery, we also support AAA batteries, because if you long-term hold it, you may don't want to buy too many lithium batteries, then you can just use AAA battery to turn on the device if you don't touch it like 6 months and suddenly you want to use it. So these are the improvements we made for the second generation. And also I just mentioned the self-destruct mechanism. For the second generation, we make it multiple layers of self-destruct mechanism, so which is a stronger protection against the hackers. And also for the second generation, we have a fingerprint sensor. So if you are worried, so it's more like a convenient feature. So you don't need to type in, if you do like small amounts of transactions, you don't need to type in your password every time, this kind of thing. So yeah, I just explained the insights we got from our users and our potential users, and then we turn into our first generation and the second generation product.
I have to admit, I really love I love the fingerprint.
Yeah,
I love not having to type anything. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, but I should mention that you should be, or your listeners should be careful with the fingerprint sensor, because if a hacker can steal this product from you, they can copy your fingerprint from the device.
Yes.
So then they can do the transaction. So with the next firmware release, we will allow user to make a threshold for the fingerprint sensor to trigger a transaction. So you can set, for example, you have tens of Bitcoin and you set 0.1 Bitcoin as your threshold for using fingerprint to authorize a transaction. We will give this kind of feature. Yeah.
I like that. That's actually very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Thank you.
So, it was very interesting when I got this product. I had never used an air-gapped wallet that also used my phone, that also had the phone, like the app on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very cool. I mean, the only one that I've used is I've done Wasabi with Cold Card, and for me it's just it's desktop and your Cold Card. So I never had the mobile phone aspect. I did want to go back though to the secure element, like we had discussed before the show. So a lot of the listeners are, for the most part, anyways. I know a lot of the listener base is the United States and Europe, and some people in Canada. One of the questions that came up a few times over is because the secure element is made in China, and people had asked if there's an intent to possibly get one that has the secure elements, sourced and manufactured in the U.S. or Canada.
Okay. First, I want to explain that why we use this secure element from a Chinese vendor. Because the first note I want to share is that if you make a hardware, especially if you make a hardware wallet, you have to face tons of trade-offs. So you have to face tons of trade-offs. For example, some people they like the 4-inch touchscreen, but some people think I just want a hardware wallet as small as possible because I want to hide it somewhere. So you have to make a decision for this kind of trade-offs. So for the secure element here, the biggest trade-off is that if we source this secure element from a giant vendor in the States or from Europe or from Canada, the problem is we don't have too much negotiation power with them. That's the bad thing. So if we source the secure element from a Chinese vendor, then we have much stronger negotiation power with them, which means we can open source more of the secure element. It doesn't mean we can open source the whole secure element, but compared to we sourcing it from a Western supplier, we can open source much more of the secure element. So currently, what we have got is we open source the firmware of the secure element. So here the trade-off is we think transparency is more important compared to where the vendor is and where the secure element is manufactured. So transparency means a lot, means even much more to the community. That's why we make this decision currently. It's just a current decision. So we open source the firmware of the secure element, and then there are like only 3 parts of in the black box. Then the first is the design of the chip. For this part, I think no one can open source this part except for Trezor. They are making their own secure element. They can do that. But for us, for every vendor, they won't do this because this is their strongest IP, is the design of the secure element, design of the chip. And also, if you ask for non-secure element chips, just like a general MCU, the vendor also wants to open source the design of the MCU. So that's impossible to do that. So that's the first part in the black box. The second part in the black box is for the I'm not sure if you heard of TRNG, which is true random number generation. This is a very key feature of the secure element because the randomness, the better randomness is, the better the protection, the better the randomness your private key is, and then you are more safe. So for the true random number generation, it's also a black box. We cannot open source this part. It's kind of in the design of the secure element. So what we do is we let user to generate their private key by rolling a dice, just like code card. Then, because people can generate the entropy by themselves by rolling dice, so they can bypass the TRNG, which is the random number generation part of the secure element. So This part can be bypassed. You don't need to trust this part. The third part in the black box is the cryptographic algorithm, just like ECDSA, which is the encryption curve to sign a transaction. This is also a black box because this is realized by the secure element vendor. But for this part, we're trying to redo this part of code so that we can open source this part too. But currently, we don't have a clear timeline. We're working on that. And also, another biggest thing aside from the secure element firmware open source is that we can send, if anyone can sign an NDA with us, we can send him a dev board of the secure element to do further verification for it, which means you will receive a circuit board and there's only the secure element on the circuit board. And then you can plug it into your laptop and you can do whatever test that you want to do on the secure element to verify the encryption, to verify the cryptographic algorithms, to verify the TRNG, even to verify the design of the secure element is safe or not. So you see my point here?
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, we just maximize the transparency to gain the trust rather than we use a secure element from US to gain the trust. We think it's a better way to maximize the transparency for the community to get trust. That's our choice, and also it's some trade-off. But things may change later. I think if because for the vendors, it's just a money game. They don't have any faith in Bitcoin or in something. It's just a money game. So if we pay enough, maybe sometime later, maybe in 10 years later or 15 years later, if we pay enough to the secure element vendors in the West, they can open source everything. Maybe it's a maybe. I don't know. Things may change. For example, if everyone in the United States will have a hardware wallet, then it will become a giant market. Then we can make enough money to like purchase the whole design of the secure element. Then we can make it. But currently, what we can only do is maximize the transparency here.
I do like that, and thank you very much, by the way, for giving me that thorough of a response. Like that's.
Thank you for your question. You know, it's a really great question.
You know what? It's a tough question, and actually, it was actually you. I think you spoke with him, Nico. Okay, who?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So I was talking with him, and he brought it up, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, that's not really my style to ask that type of stuff, but at the same time, like,
it's okay.
I'm curious, and of course, you know, to your point, it's about transparency. So I really like that. You know, I like. You know, I like that. You know, you explain it that way. And to me, that was one of my points, you know, when I was discussing it with him, you know, I said to him, I go, you know, to a certain extent, there's always an element of trust in these things, right?
Yes.
Like not everybody that is going to own a hardware wallet is going to go and, you know what I mean, order the secure element chip, plug it into their laptop, like verify everything. Let's be honest, okay? Like that's not what's happening, right? You know, like you gain trust by having by people having predictable experiences repeatedly, okay, and then people can reach consensus, like you mentioned before about Bitcoin, on the product. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanna just mention that another big step for the transparency we did is we just finished our code auditing with a third-party vendor for the product. We just finished the code auditing, and we will soon open the code auditing report to the public. So this is also the first thing a hardware wallet company has ever done. So I just wanted to tell you guys that what we're doing is trying to maximize the transparency. So there is some sacrifice if we want to achieve that, but we think transparency is the most important. And also, I want to echo you for the tough question. This is why I enjoy talking with Bitcoin podcaster rather than crypto podcast, because for the crypto podcast, those are just chit chat. Just tell me your product, what are the selling points, this kind of stuff. But for Bitcoin podcast, I really enjoy this kind of question. So yeah, this I really enjoy this kind of tough question. Yeah,
Cool.
that's for sure.
Yeah, you know what? It's, don't get me wrong, but it's like somebody's gonna ask it. So
Yeah,
it's, if
yeah, definitely.
if we can't answer the tough questions, then we're in trouble. Like
Yeah,
then it means we don't know what we're doing.
yeah, definitely,
But
definitely.
okay, so tell me this, right? Like, I'm obviously, you already know, I like your product. I think it's cool. I was lucky enough to get one from you to test it out. So thank you very much. But
Thank you too.
but I think that there's I think you've got some other products as well, though, right? Like, I saw that you also offer a
Yes.
steel wallet.
Yes, yes. We also offer a metal storage called Cobo tablet. But I want to, for the Cobo tablet, I think the most advantage or the most selling point is it's very cheap. It's almost half of the price of the other competitors. But one thing I want to disclose, I want to let you followers know is that we failed the Jameson Lab test, the latest round of Jameson Lab test. But the point is we're going to launch another new two versions of the metal storage.
Oh,
One
cool.
is like the punch version. So the punch version, we're getting into Amazon warehouse now, and I think we'll launch it within 2 weeks. Currently, the because of the virus, the Amazon is working kind of slow now. They are getting our product on shelf, and for the punch version, it's really cool. Yeah, I cannot. We made a video and we'll show that video to you guys later. For that version, we're kind of sure that we'll pass Jameson Lab's test, but we'll see. I cannot say 100%, but we're confident because we did some tests here in China. And for the punch version, the price would be around $24. So that's really cheap. And also we will launch another version of which is the second generation of Kobo tablet. So it's also tail version, comes with the metal alphabets, but it's much, much stronger. We're also kind of sure that product can pass Jameson Lab's test too. So we're also sending him these two products and he can test it out later.
That's very cool. That's
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I got to see a little demo of your punch, the punch wallet, and that's very
Oh yeah, I
nice.
share you. I
Yeah,
shared you. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
it's very
yeah.
nice.
Okay. Okay.
I did want to go back though to just to the CoboVault. Um,
Yes.
just for the listeners, so people know,
Mm-hmm.
there is a Bitcoin only firmware that they can install.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
there is the one that supports the shitcoins, but you did make
Yes.
one for Bitcoin only, and we really appreciate that. So
Thank you.
I just
Thank you.
wanted to mention that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Personally, I'm a Bitcoiner, and I'm also using the Bitcoin only version, and uh for our listeners or followers, I think one thing the Bitcoin only version currently we're for the next release we're going to separate this into two GitHub like files or two GitHubs. So these two products will go to two different directions. And also, for example, currently we're almost 99% of our development resources are putting on the Bitcoin only version. We're adding, with the latest version, we just launched the psbt compatibility with Wasabi, with bluewallet, and with BTCpay. And also we're waiting for electrum 4.0.0 for the psbt compatibility. We're waiting for this product new release. And also currently we're working on psbt multi-signature. So if we achieve that, I think we can, by latest, we can do that at the end of July. If we achieve that, then the Bitcoiners will have two different products which support psbt multi-signature, which is Code Card and CoboVault. And then you can take the full advantage of psbt multi-signature to lower your risk to hodler your Bitcoin.
Okay, that sounds amazing, and I have both of these wallets, so I'm very excited for that. The PSB multi-signature. I'm sorry, I wanted to go back though. You said you guys offer compatibility with Electrum, Wasabi, and you said BTCpayserver?
Yes, BTCpayserver.
Very
but
cool.
The problem is currently we have done our side of development.
Oh, I get it.
And
they got to do their side. And bluewallet.
Yeah, they have done their side. They have also merged because we submit some code to them, so they have merged. They have merged those code. So we're just waiting for their next release.
Oh, okay.
For Wasabi, I'm not sure, but for bluewallet and BTC Pay, they will release a new version around the end of June or early July. I don't know the exact date, but they told me that they will release soon. And also, we're waiting for Electrum 4.0.0.
I was gonna say, didn't Electrum just put out a? I think they put out an announcement about beta.
Yeah. They put out a beta version.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
thank you.
So I guess let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What are you allowed to discuss any of the future developments that you guys have coming down the pipeline? Different products or anything like that?
Of course. Currently, we're not developing our third generation. Currently, our effort is still focused on this version, which is the second generation CoboVault Essential and CoboVault Pro. And currently, we're working on psbt multi-signature. And after the psbt multi-signature, there are some improvements the community is looking for. For example, I just received a feedback from the user, from a user that we should allow user to export their addresses to a micro SD card.
Oh.
Because they think that their address may be because they think that they may reset the hardware, or they may buy new hardware, and they want to keep a record of all their addresses they have used. So this kind of feature we're going to develop. And another big thing we're going to do is the taproot. I think that's also because currently I think from my perspective, the biggest issue currently for the multi-signature is the privacy problem. So I think with taproot, we can solve that problem. So that's one thing we're also looking for. Yeah, and these are the biggest things. And I think let me find our to-do list. It's too long, so I need to find it, and I can share some cool features we're going to release.
Cool.
Okay, I think for example, there are a lot of features, like, for example, because our product looks like a mobile phone.
Yep.
And so people has I love
it.
It's like a mobile phone. So people, they usually don't turn off their mobile phone. Yeah. So people, our user told me that they don't have the habit of turn off CoboVault. So they ask for a auto turn off feature. So we're also doing that. And also we're doing, let me see. By the way, we're also working on Bitcoin testnet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And also we're working on allowing people to add account level to their codes, to their CoboVault. And also we're working on some features for example, we published our checksum of our upgrade package on our website. So another thing we're working on is if you insert a new upgrade package, if it's a legal upgrade package, will automatically show you the checksum on the screen of the CoboVault. So then you can check the checksum with the checksum on the website.
Yeah.
Then you don't need tools like Terminal to check the checksum. So we're working on this kind of small improvements. But
I like that.
I should say, one thing I should say that all these features, I think 95% of these features are come from the community. That's a really proud thing for me, because people, they're offering ideas. Some people are offering. Yesterday we just received a PR on GitHub which correct a typo in the product for us. So this make me really, really happy and proud that I feel that we're making this product with the community together. Community is telling us what they want, and we figure out how to do that. And yeah, this is it. So yeah, I was making drone before. That is just the vendor thing, but making hardware wallet is totally a community thing. That's a really rewarding for me, actually.
I like that.
I feel great for this. I feel really great for this.
I like that. It's personally rewarding.
Yeah,
you know?
personally
And that's
rewarding.
Nice. I wanted to ask you, sorry, because you were just mentioning the power on the CoboVault. I meant to ask you. Okay, so
yeah.
How long does the lithium battery last? And by the way, I love that you have the option. When I got my CoboVault, just to explain to the listeners that decide to get one. So there's the lithium battery, and like Lixin said, there's also the option to have, you could use AAAs. So
yes.
How long, like on a full charge, how long does one of these last? I was trying to figure it out.
Okay. With the full charge, I think the lithium battery will only last for 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Because you cannot compare it to a mobile phone, because the intensity of using it it's not okay. It's not a mobile phone. You are not playing games on it. You're just using it. It's like a cold blood signer. You just use it to sign a transaction. That's why the capacity of the battery is not that strong. And also, if we make a stronger capacity or a more powerful battery, that also increase the possibility of the fail of this battery. So we play really safe here, not make it too big or too strong to make it more robust.
I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah, but also here I want to mention to people that if you use the lithium battery, if you don't use it for like several weeks, it will tremendously increase the possibility of the fail of the battery. So we made the pro version, which has the rechargeable battery, lithium battery, and also the fingerprinting sensor. We designed it for the people who use it more frequently. So if you are a long-term hodler, the essential version is more cost-effective for you, because there's no fingerprinting sensor, there's no rechargeable battery. It only can be powered by the AAA batteries. And for AAA battery, you don't need to worry about that. If you turn it on every 6 months, you just buy 4 AAA batteries and turn it on, and you can use it.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts for the listeners?
Final thoughts.
Yeah.
Anything you
want to share with the listeners?
Yeah. I think one thing I want to share, which is not super related to hardware wallet, because in a company, one rule in our company is everyone in a company need to do some customer service work. Even the developers or the product managers, you should talk to our customers. You should see what problems they have. So for me, I also did a lot of customer service work. So I talked to them. I think one thing I wanted to share to all your listeners is that hardware wallet is not your silver bullet for protecting your Bitcoin. Hardware is not, but your knowledge is. Some people, most people think that I buy a hardware wallet, then I'm safe. But that's totally wrong, and you are getting way wrong for that. If you have that thought, I even think you should put your Bitcoin in Coinbase if you have that thought.
Oh my God.
sorry, that's a little bit extreme, but I just want to emphasize. Want to emphasize that knowledge is really, really important. Yeah. Especially for some of our users, they have a hardware wallet, but they don't know how to protect their recovery phrase. That's really dangerous. So I just want to share to your listeners, not put your Bitcoin in Coinbase, but learn enough knowledge is really important, and buy a hardware wallet. And you should decide what's your like scenario of using your hardware wallet, and you should also know the trade-offs of your hardware wallet. For example, for our product, it's not perfect. I should say it's not perfect. For example, if you use it, you will find that the QR code, you need more time to scan the QR code to get the information into your hardware wallet. That's a trade-off. Mm-hmm. It's more air gapped, but it takes more of your time to sign a transaction. So yeah, I just wanted to let your listeners know, do your own research, get more knowledge, and know the advantage and the disadvantage of these hardware wallets, and then make your choice, and then you're safe.
I think you touched on a really important point right there. Okay, and that's, what people don't understand is when something is more secure, it takes more time.
Yes.
Like this is something, even in my field, it's the same thing. Customers want to have, let's say 50 to 100 transactions a second, but they also want all the data to be encrypted. Well, guess what? If you're going to encrypt the data, you need to have time to decrypt the data. Like it's everything. Yes. Everything takes time. So I really like the way that you explain that.
Yeah, actually, here there's always a trade-off between security and convenience. I listened to a sharing by Jameson Lopp. He made a very, very good saying, is that if you want the most convenient wallet, you just put it online and everyone can touch it. If you want the most secure wallet, you just don't let anyone touch your hardware. Even yourself cannot touch it. Then it's the most secure one. So there's always a balance between secure and convenience. So make your own choice, and maybe you don't have only one hardware wallet, but make your own choice. Maybe you need a more convenient version, and that's why I always share to our users that you should have a structured wallet system, mm-hmm. which means you're not only using hardware wallet. Maybe you also have software wallet, and maybe you have multiple hardware wallet. Use them based on your scenarios. Use them with your own user case or user scenario. I think that's a very solid user thoughts, and everyone should learn about it. And also for the hardware wallet vendors, for us, we really want to work with you and with others to share more knowledge and share more thoughts for this kind of thing, and make everyone hodling their Bitcoin very well.
You know what? Seriously, that's some good advice, and I really appreciate you coming on my show, Lixin. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, too. Thank you.
I really appreciate it, man. I hope that I get to talk to you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you for the tough questions also. Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's good. It's good for everybody, man. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion with Lixin. Lots of really cool stuff coming out of CoboVault. So I definitely suggest checking it out, doing your research. All the details will be in the show notes. And if you wanna reach me, Twitter or Telegram, I'm at CoinIcarus. If you want to shoot me an email, I am CoinIcarus@funwithbitcoin.com. Thank you all for listening, and catch you all next time.